Picture this. You want to go try something new, maybe like a yoga class, for example. And on your drive over to the class, you start to hear that familiar old voice repeating in the back of your head, saying things like, "Don't even bother showing up," or "Honey, you're gonna be the most uncoordinated person there. You're not good enough. You're not flexible enough." Well, that voice, that critical voice, is usually the voice that we call our inner critic, saying things like, "You're not pretty enough, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you don't belong," and so on and so on. You get the point. But what if this voice, this critical voice that sometimes sounds like a mix between a grumpy cat and our high school math teacher for whatever reason, what if this voice was actually looking out for us? You know, usually we're told to silence this voice, to shut up our inner critic, to push it down. Or we tend to get busy and we drown out that voice by finding new pressures or commitments in life. But is that really the best approach? Is suppressing our inner critic really the best approach? Stick with me here. Trying to silence our inner critic or those negative emotions isn't the solution. How many times in life were you told, "Think positive, have a positive mindset, yay!" But more often than not, what happens? Maybe it works for a while, maybe you do feel a little positive for a while, but those depleting feelings, those don't go away. They just kind of get tucked away, they get suppressed, they're kind of simmering there under the surface. And then one day, like a jack in the box, they just spring up. And that's usually in the form of an overreaction, a bad decision, or an emotional outburst. But here's a twist. What if this voice, this critical voice, is actually trying to look out for you? It's actually trying to keep you safe. And by expressing concern over how you're going to look in that yoga class, what if it's actually trying to protect you from feelings of embarrassment or shame or discomfort? What if instead of trying to suppress that voice, instead of trying to shut up our inner critic, we actually dialed it up, we turned up the volume, and we listened to its concerns, and we tried to understand where it's coming from. And so that's why I invite you to think of these parts of us, these critical parts of us, as almost like protectors. Maybe you can even start to see them as friends who might be a little lost, and they just need some understanding and guidance and care. These parts of us, they're not enemies, they're not out to get us. They're trying to help us, and sometimes it's a little misguided and they need some help, they need some direction. Think about it, these parts are living inside of us. They want our well-being, but sometimes they just have a little maladaptive way of getting there. So they just need us to teach them what to do instead. Our inner world is made up of many, many different parts or aspects of our personality. You can imagine them as kind of like members on a team, and each of them has a unique role that they play. We have joyful parts of us that come alive when we're doing something that we love, like painting or hiking or any hobby that you love. And then we have playful parts of us that come out when we're having fun, like when we're with friends or we're having karaoke nights, for example. And we also have parts of us that step in during tough times or when we feel uncomfortable or uncertain. Our inner critic is one of those parts. It's often misunderstood, and it usually shows up when we're unsure or when we're scared or vulnerable. But it plays such an important role in our inner world, our inner team. And so each of our parts, even our inner critic and the parts of us that seem to hold us back at times and give us a really hard time, they have positive intentions. They're all working towards our well-being in their own unique way. I remember in my first year of college, I had signed up for a computer science class. And this wasn't just any computer science class, this was honors computer science. And keep in mind, I've never taken any computer science class in my life up to that point. But I decided, how hard could it possibly be? I mean, I use a computer every single day. And it actually turned out to be one of the hardest classes I've ever taken in my life. And I remember sitting in this class and we were assigned a project. And I remember looking around and it seemed like every single student in the class knew exactly what they were doing. They were typing away, they were in the flow, and I was sitting there and I really had no idea where to start. And so I felt myself start to pull away. I started to kind of feel down. I started to become small. And then that familiar voice showed up saying, "See, you're not smart enough like all the other kids." And my immediate reaction was, "Oh my God, shut up. What is this voice doing right now? This isn't helping." So I did my best to silence this voice, but that didn't help. That voice just kept getting louder and louder and louder. I mean, it was persistent. It kept showing up. And so I decided, since I'm anyways not doing this assignment, I'm just sitting in class right now, I might as well just take a moment to do some inner work. So I asked myself, do I really believe down to my core, in my heart, that I'm not smart enough? No. It wasn't all of me that believed that. It wasn't that highest part of me that believed that I'm not smart enough. It was just a part of me. So I actually dialed up this part of me. I turned up the volume and I asked, who is it right now that's saying that I'm not smart enough? Because I wanted to get to know that voice. I wanted to really listen and just be curious, just play around. I'm just sitting there in class right now. So after getting to know this part of me, just kind of asking it some questions, I asked it, why are you saying these comments about me? What are you afraid would happen if you stopped saying these comments about me? And I just got quiet, and that voice said, I am afraid you'll be humiliated in front of the entire class if you speak up and you say that you don't understand the assignment. And so immediately in that moment, I felt like all of the anger toward this part kind of melted away, just like ice under sunshine, right? Just melted away. And I realized that this sweet part of me has been trying to keep me safe. And I almost like it humanized this critic, and it revealed its true loving, protective nature. This part of me that's trying to keep me safe from perceived threat of being exposed in front of a big group of people. And this is a part of me that cares. It's not one to be silenced. It's not one to be suppressed. It's one to listen to with curiosity. These parts of us, including our inner critic and other protective parts of us, should be treated with respect and with curiosity. They're trying to look out for us. They're trying to keep us safe. And sometimes they carry heavy burdens, like old fears, past hurts, negative beliefs, and emotions that weigh heavily on them, which influence them to make the choices that they make within our system. And so instead of trying to silence our critic, I invite you to dial it up, to engage with this part with curiosity, to see where it's coming from. And maybe if you can find it within you, to appreciate its intentions. There's actually a psychotherapy approach founded by a man named Dick Schwartz called IFS, or Internal Family Systems, which teaches us exactly that parts, including our inner critic, are here to support us. And sometimes they just need a little bit of guidance on how to do that effectively. So how do we get to know these parts better? I invite you to try this. Go ahead and pick a part of you that you often hear from. This could be a part of you that you've even called your inner critic before. And reflect on when this part shows up. Is it during presentations? Is it after making a big mistake? Maybe when you're comparing yourself to other people? When does this part show up? For example, for me, that critical part showed up when I was sitting in that computer science class and I felt not smart enough. And now once you're done with that, go ahead and notice how this part feels emotionally. Meaning when this part shows up, do you feel sad? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel worried? Do you feel scared? Notice where, if anywhere, can you find this part in your body or around your body? Maybe it's a slight tension in your neck, or a little flutter or a knot in your stomach, or maybe it's a pressure in your chest. Now let's get even more curious and maybe even a little playful now. Go ahead and really pay attention to that part and notice, does this part of you, does it have a color? Does it have a shape? Does it have a texture to it or a temperature? And if this part of you were to have a voice, what would its voice sound like? And remember, it's totally okay if you didn't get any sort of clear visual or auditory or kinesthetic image. This exercise is really just about openness and curiosity and exploration. There's no such thing as right or wrong, and you're really just doing it perfectly by engaging in this process, by being open. Something else you could consider is what role this part plays in your inner team, in your inner system. You can even imagine asking it, why are you here? What are you trying to accomplish or protect me from? And so participating in this exercise is really just like a starting point to begin to understand and to open up and to empathize with these different parts of ourselves. So all in all, I invite you to think of these parts of you, especially your inner critic, as parts of you that just need some empathy and love and care and guidance. And they have positive intentions, and by getting to know them and connecting with them and understanding them, that can lead you toward growth and inner peace. And I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments as always, so please share what you've discovered, how it felt, and anything else that came up along the way. And in my next video, I'll actually guide you through an experience to really get to know one of your parts. So make sure to stay tuned for that and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to stay in the loop. And remember, when you hear your inner critic speaking, I invite you to dial it up. Listen closely, turn up the volume, and listen to what it has to say, because more often than not, it has wisdom to share with you. So thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.